Hey guys, Pete here. It's time for a new weekly spoiler report, and I have some stuff to talk about that we got this week. If you don't like spoilers about production or Game of Thrones set news, then you'll want to stop watching this video. However, we do have a book giveaway going on, and I have a non-spoiler video from this week you can watch about how many episodes of the series Game of Thrones are left. Everyone else stick around to the end so that you can enter, and let's jump into it. So right after I uploaded last week's spoiler report, I saw a photo from a hiker basically who was in Iceland climbing a glacier and came across the Game of Thrones set and snapped a couple pictures. It's a pretty cool story, and the pictures were quite nice, but it doesn't really reveal much of anything of importance, or at least anything that we didn't already know. Before these pics came out, Iain Glen had popped up in Iceland, so there was a good idea that he'd be filming there, which we saw. We also already knew that Gendry, the actor who plays Gendry, was in town. And because we had so much information from Wolf Hill, we sort of knew that all these characters were going to be together shooting once Kit Harington got there in the first place. But it is nice to have photos from different sources, and one person saw Jorah walking and I guess maybe taking a break, having a cigarette in one of the landscape scenes, and then the other one, the original one I saw, the actual poster interacted with some of the people who commented and pointed out the different actors that she spotted on the set. As you can see in the photos, there are about 9 people dressed for winter, which if we count off the people we know to be involved, leaves a couple extra. So if you want to count along with me, we have Jon Snow, Gendry, Thoros, and Jorah that we all saw there in person. During Wolf Hill, we had Tormund and the Hound spotted, and also Beric, which we haven't actually seen yet, but we know he's the leader of the Brotherhood, and he went there with Tormund and the Hound. So that means that there's probably 2 unknown people here, if not more. But they could be just about anybody. I mean, Tormund could be traveling with companions from beyond the wall. And more importantly, if we think back to what we do know about it, we saw the boat take off from the Dragonstone area way back when they were shooting there. And there were a couple companions in the boat who we weren't exactly sure who they were. So this isn't likely some big reveal. It's probably just supporters of the characters we already know. And speaking of the Hound, Rory McCann was actually seen by somebody later in the week in Iceland. So we can assume that one of those people is him, going beyond what the original poster on Twitter had mentioned. These pictures were great, but there was even some more interesting ones that came out later. I saw them yesterday, and I'm not sure if they have been reported on yet, but I'm guessing by the time you watch this video, there'll probably be articles about these other photos. They were originally posted on Instagram, and then someone from the Free Folk subreddit posted them there. Of course, I saw them from Reddit first. They're from far away, and they're on the beach, so we see there's boats involved, but there's a couple characters here that, if you zoom in, it's not exactly clear who they are. And to me, it almost looks like they're White Walkers. Now, why they would be there isn't entirely clear, or really anything isn't entirely clear here, but there's these 2 strange characters, and, there's the outside chance that they could be, maybe Unsullied, because they have a spear and the shield, but looking at their heads, it doesn't look anything like a shaved head Unsullied who would be wearing a helmet. Unless there's some weird light play going on. To me, that the one on the right especially looks like one of the White Walkers that we've seen in the past, not a white. But that's just completely speculation based on a photo that I zoomed in a bunch on. So let me know what you guys think about that. The actual poster of this, who put it on Instagram originally, says that he wasn't a fan of the show or hasn't followed it anyway, so he didn't add anything except for that, that he knew it was the Game of Thrones crew filming there. The original poster on Reddit was YI150 or Ye150, so if you want to look at what people were saying about it, you can just go over to the Free Folk subreddit and check it out. Watchers on the Wall also reported that the band Bastille is supposed to make an appearance in this season, one of the cameos that we've seen in the past. they reported that even though filming had wrapped up at Wolf Hill, that the band was actually spotted there. And in a recent interview they did with Vogue, or at least the lead singer did, he mentioned that he was going to get to check out the set of Game of Thrones soon. So if you're a fan of Bastille, this should be exciting. Of course, I never heard of them, so I did watch the video where Sophie Turner lip syncs the song, and that was kind of interesting. And like I said, if you're a fan, this is probably good news. And the final big thing we got this week, which is probably the most reported on, and I'm guessing you've probably seen it on one of the many different places that are running articles about it now. It was an exclusive from Watchers on the Wall, who reported it first, and they talked about the fact that the actor David Bradley, who plays Walder Frey, had updated his resume or CV to include season 7 of Game of Thrones. Now, obviously, Walder Frey himself was killed in the final episode of season 6, and there is a little bit of weirdness here because he has season 2 on his resume instead of season 3, which is whenever, the big red wedding and all that happened. But this is not likely an addition that would be a mistake. I mean, it said 1, 2, and 6, and then all of a sudden they added 7 onto it. So my initial reaction was, oh, okay, well, he's going to be laying in a coffin and the other Freys who remain will be there, watching and talking about their plans. But if you think about that, it doesn't really fit into anything about the story going forward. So initially I was kind of surprised that Watchers on the Wall had said that, they basically tied it to the leaks that came from Reddit a few months ago. Now, I know a lot of you guys are leak averse, so I'm not going to exactly say what they're referring to, but here's what we know. We know that Bradley is supposed to be coming back and playing a role in season 7. The character he plays is dead, so somehow we have to assume that a character whose story is important moving forward to the end of the series will have some contact or interaction or whatever with Walder Frey that brings him into the story. So logically you might think that Bran would see him in a vision or something like that, but the only thing he would see there might be the Red Wedding, and everybody already knows that is how that went down. Like, there's no reveal there. So if he's not lying in state and he's not actually alive, there's the obvious conclusion that people have speculated on in the past that maybe Arya might steal his face. We know that she's important going forward. We know that she killed Walder Frey, and we know that she just trained with the Faceless Men. So it's a pretty believable speculation, but we'll have to find out what old Walder Frey is doing in season 7 when we get more information. Piggybacking on that, Maisie Williams did do an interview this week because she has a new limited series, I think, coming out on Netflix called iBoy. But she did talk a little bit of Game of Thrones. She didn't give anything away as far as what Arya is going to be up to necessarily. But she did sort of slip in there that she hadn't read the scripts for season 8 yet, which would be a good indication that she expects to read them. Now, I had never thought that Arya might die in season 7, but it's good to know that she's probably going to not die, if that makes any sense. She's always been one of the characters that we expected would make it to the end, her and Bran. So at least now we have a pretty good hint that she will be making it through this season, if not season 7 and season 8. One other little interesting story came out. Conleth Hill, who plays Varys, was talking to the Huffington Post, and he revealed that he actually read for Robert Baratheon at the same time that he read for Varys. So think about how much different that would have been. I mean, I really think of this guy as Varys, and even when I reread stuff from the books, when I'm thinking about Varys, I'm thinking about Conleth Hill. So pretty good, pretty happy that it turned out this way, personally. So that's about it. Please chime in on what you think about the new photos from Iceland and what you think about what Walder Frey is going to be doing coming back in season 7. Please like the video if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to enter the book giveaway. This is my second book giveaway now, and this time when I reach 28,000 subscribers, I will pick one comment from one of these videos where I mention the giveaway and send that commenter a copy of the 20th anniversary edition of A Game of Thrones by George R. R. Martin. It's simple to subscribe, it's simple to comment, so go ahead and do it. That's it for this week. I got some other stuff coming out soon, so thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon.